Hi everyone, I'm Mr. Distilio. Some of us know each other from middle school. I am the former principal at Bunker Hill Middle School, and I am currently one of the directors at Central Office, and one of my focuses is school and community outreach. So this is the We Are Township Leadership Podcast, and we are talking to three individuals here today. So the first thing I want to do is introduce Officer John Hamilton. I have known Officer John Hamilton 7 years now, maybe?
You're getting it. It's just
Maybe
about 7.
Almost 7.
Almost
So
7.
for those of you that don't know, Officer John was the Special Law Enforcement Officer, SLEO, at Bunker Hill Middle School when they started having SLEOs there. Last year he called me just as soon as I got on vacation and said he wanted to transfer to the high school. After, I went home and I cried a little bit because one of my good friends was leaving Bunker Hill. I realized that he was in the right place and that making this move was very important, not only for Officer John, but for the kids as well. So I'm going to tell you why I respect Officer John. I'm a person that comes from a military background, okay? So my dad was a lieutenant colonel, and I actually worked at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, when I was a kid, and there were a lot of tram drivers. And one of the things that they talked about, and they said, if you want to survive, you listen to your sergeants, right? So if you're an officer, you listen to your sergeants. And I learned about, through them, my dad, tram drivers, my grandpa, about the importance of accountability. And when I met Officer John, we would talk about leadership constantly about what should we do, and it was always centered around what was best for children, and he challenged me to be a better version of myself, and I hope I did that to Officer John as well. But he's become a very important person in my life, and so I wanted to, in one of the segments, make sure that he knew about how much I respect him as a leader. So if Officer John is choosing you three as leaders, that must mean you're pretty special individuals, okay? So, Officer John, if you can kind of talk to me about some facet of your leadership and what you try to do, and then maybe introduce our students here today.
One of the things when we took on these roles in schools were we didn't know what to do. Outside of just interacting with students. But I saw that there was a need to help students out in different facets of their time in school. Some needed help with grades, some needed help with just social interactions. I tried to focus on both. So that's kind of my role. That I've applied to myself with interacting with the students. They probably never thought that a police officer would focus as much on grades as I do, but I think that is key, and that's the main reason why they are here, as well as dealing with all the other social interactions that they're going to deal with during their 4 years here at high school. So I kind of take on that role of kind of being a friend, a mentor,
school counselor,
school counselor, some of those things. So that's why I get up and do what I do every day.
Outstanding. So why don't you introduce our leaders?
We have MaeAna Ryes, Andrew Osborn, and Paul Dombrosky. So MaeAna and Paul, I've known, 6 years now?
As long as I've known you.
6 years. Yeah. Is it 6? I don't know.
This is like 6.
Something like that. 6. Since middle school.
Yeah.
So I've seen them growing along the way. And Andrew, I met last year when I came to the school. And each one of them have stood out in different ways to me and exuded some of the things that I look at as future leaders.
Did you want to share that, or do you want to wait till they have something to say about it and then chime in?
Yeah, I'll kind of do that
Okay.
as they speak.
It's no problem. I've always called you MaeAna, but it's
Yeah, it's MaeAna.
MaeAna. Okay, great. All right. So, I want to know from your standpoint. I too have known you to be a strong young woman, and it's great to see you as a high school kid.
Yeah.
But how do you see yourself? Like, when Officer John invited you to the table, I'm sure that was really nice and flattering, right? But how do you see yourself as a leader?
Well, the way I grew up, my dad owns a business, so I always was like in the middle of it, and it's always been so fascinating to me. So I've always seen a leader, and I've seen what leadership looked like, and I feel like I've always got to learn what a leader looks like. Like, I was the pawn before, like, a leader, right? So getting the chance to always see, like, the listening skills and the calmness and the strength you need as a leader, just being strong and knowing that you're making the decision not just for yourself but for the good of the people, but also knowing you can't do it for all of the people. So
That's an interesting comment.
yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And do you take that in what facet do you take it in your own personal life, in DECA, in track? Like, what do you...
Well, I haven't had like a big leadership position in like anything yet, but I know like when I'm in a group of people, like for DECA or track, I think what makes me stand out the most is how well I listen and how effective I am, but also the positive energy I bring to the group. Really, like, it shines among, the group of people, and it can really change a group of people very easily.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, I don't know you, but like I hear your name all the time every time I go to a football game. Are you like, is number 9? Are you number 9?
Yeah, number 9.
See, I know that, right? So, you clearly have a command of the field, but I want to kind of learn more about you. Like, how do you see yourself as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, like, growing up, my dad, like, we didn't have, like, the best, like, time growing up, but he made the best of it, like, always being positive, and, like, I kind of took after that. I just kind of took after what, like, he taught me of, like, always staying positive during situations, especially, like, through football when I was, like, growing up, being, like, captains on, like, most teams I played on, and just leading the team. I kind of got that just going in my life, just to keep leading the team, like, be a leader myself, and, like, always try and stay positive and not try and mix into what's going on, like what everybody else is doing, and try and stand out and be my own person, like, type thing.
Excellent. One of the things we had, one of your teammates here in the last segment named Gabe. Gabe's younger than you. Are you a senior?
I'm a junior.
Okay, you're a junior. Gabe's a sophomore, I think,
Yeah.
correct? So he was talking about the importance of rallying behind a tough loss. You guys just had a tough loss. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, after the tough loss, like, I kind of talked to the team a little bit. I was like, we have to stay positive. Like, we can't let it get down on us. I know it's, like, hard. Like, people take things in different type of ways. Like, some people are a lot more emotional about it, and some people don't care. But, I mean, you always got to be, like, positive about things, because when people see a leader, people see a captain put their heads down and say, like, what's going on, and screaming at each other, like, it kind of makes, like, the whole environment bad. So I think the number one thing is just to keep everyone's head up. Like, came in the following Friday, talked to the team, and was like, we got to pick it up. No, during practice this week, like, no fooling around. Like, just make sure everybody's on top of things and just doing the right stuff and just being positive, not talking about the loss as much, just focusing on next week.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Paul, now you're part of the team too. I've known you as long as I've known MaeAna, so how do you see yourself as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, growing up in a household where I was, like, raised by my mom mostly, and my grandparents play a big factor on my life. It's like my grandpa's my father figure, so, like, I look up to him, and I try and, like, if I could be him when I'm older, I'd love my life, and it'd be a great thing. Like, my grandma and my mom are also great, too. I don't try and, like, do the most, but I just try and lead by example, do it, not lead with the crowd or do anything that's, like, I'm not supposed to be doing. Like, I'm not going to be one to, like, yell about stuff and, like, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. Like, I'm just going to do what's right, and people follow it and do the right thing with me, and it's a good thing. But, like, I don't try and, like, I don't try and brag about it or anything. Just, like, I know it's right. I've learned it. I'm trying to do it. And that's what I try to do.
Tell me more about your grandfather. Like you said, he was your father figure in your life. So there's some leadership aspect that he has that, or some quality that he has that you want to emulate in your life, right?
Yeah.
So what is that?
It's just like he's always on top of things. He's always doing what's best for the family and stuff. Like he'll come over and like I won't have the trash taken out. Like, what are you doing? You're slacking. You gotta take the trash out. I'm like, oh, you're right. Like, and he just bought me a car. Him and my grandma just bought me a car the other day. And it's like I couldn't be more grateful for
sure
what they've done for me. It's
yeah,
it's a
outstanding.
blessing. Yeah.
Pressing you a little bit more, you were probably in the locker room having that tough loss, right? At the
Yeah.
same time. What position you play?
I'm like a tight end.
Okay.
Tight end
All
now.
right. So I'm assuming maybe. So if I'm making wrong assumptions, you got to check me on this,
Yeah.
right? Knowing you're not a loud person in the locker room, but you kind of support most of the people, unless I'm mistaken and you've changed since I've
Yeah,
known you.
it's like it's a different thing. I feel like in school I'm more like the quiet, like get your work done,
Right.
get through the day. But I feel like once football comes, I just like switch turns on. I'm just like back with my people, like guys like Drew and Gabe. I was just here, like it's like your family. Like you're with them. We've been working since we take 3 weeks off after a season, and in November we're back at it. And just like you like don't leave them like. Coach Schatz and stuff. They're like our family. That's what he says every day. They're like they spend more time with us than they do with their family. It's like the same with us. So it's like just another family, and I feel like I can just be myself. Not that I can't be myself in school, but just like there's another aspect to it in football where you just like there's nothing like it.
Excellent. Officer John, did you want to take the moment to kind of tell them what you see in them as leaders?
Yeah, so if I start with MaeAna, so she and I know that back in middle school, she had to deal with kind of a situation. And one of the things that stood out about that was how you stayed even-keeled, even though you may have been hurt by that situation. But the biggest part was you were able to come up with kind of your own plan as to how you wanted to handle that. And it kind of amazed me, like, man, here's this young lady here that came up with a great solution to the problem you were facing, and it worked out well, I believe. And you never missed a beat, so the ability to do that and still maintain your grades and still come to school and have a smile on your face, like that's leadership, just by going out and doing what you needed to do. And you took the time again to sit down and say, okay, how can I fix this problem, or what do I think will best work for me? And you did that. You came in with that plan, and I was very impressed with that. If I go to Drew, I watched Drew, I don't know, like, I don't even think we spoke pretty much the first couple of months, other than maybe a head nod, like, hey, how are you doing? But it was he would walk down the hallway, and he had this kind of aura that was different than most other students. And then, slowly but surely, we just started speaking. And, obviously, if you look at him, you could tell he's kind of an athlete or something. And so that kind of began our conversation. But he stood out from everybody else just by the way he carried himself. And then I know that was also shown on the football field as well. And so you look at him and you go, okay, there's somebody that's going to lead by example. And that's exactly what he does every day, doesn't get in trouble, works hard with sports and school. So I took notice of that, If we look at Paul over here, Paul's somebody that just grinds. He is constantly just staying focused. He can stop, chat with you. We'll real quick go over a game or something like that, and then he's like, all right, I got to get to class. and somebody that can stay on task is, no matter what, that's something that you need as a leader as well. Like you won't easily be distracted, and you can tell that your family values actually come out as you're conversing with people. And that stood out where I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to stick to talking with this young man. And so those characteristics from all of them have me constantly interacting with them when I see them throughout the day in school.
So there's a couple types of leadership. Okay, there's several types. You could Google whatever, right? We're gonna talk about servant versus transformational leadership. So, in our talks, it was always about the other person and holding each other accountable to help somebody else. Whether it was saying, I was telling the officer, Hamilton, Officer John, hey, I need you to get out there and go see this person or whatever. It took him about a year to really get that idea that that's what his purpose was. I would constantly talk to him about it, but it was probably within the second year, like Officer John was real money, like going and talking to kids and making sure that, and it was that comfortability, I think, that allowed him to be perfect for this job right here. Not only that, if something went down at school, I'd like to have him have my back personally. And then what Officer John would do for me, would be to be present with me and sit down and have those conversations with me when I needed to kind of, I guess, blow off steam or help me take the high road every single time. Because as a principal, you could always take the easy road. You can, and you'll get by, but you don't really make a difference, Whereas Officer John kind of kept me, and there were certain things that were incredibly difficult to do, and the easier path would have been much, much easier. But Officer John is such a friend of mine that I don't think I could come to work and look Officer John in the face if I made the alternate decision. You know what I mean? So he kept me in check along the way. So by that mentality, though, we kind of served each other. We made each other better. I tried to make people around me better, just by example or whatever, or just kind of saying the same message over and over and over again, like it's not an accident. Like when you guys were Bulldogs, it was the same poster in every single classroom, said the same day. Now, kids might not have done that all the time, but at least we were reiterating the same thing. So that's me, servant leadership. As a principal, sometimes I get to have to be transactional too, which means, Paul gets a detention and I have to respond to Paul's, silly antics, whatever he did in 6th grade. I have to respond. Didn't want to have to do that today, but here we go. I got to do that. But I'd like to shift more in my, in the world to transformational, where we are shaping different things and creating a culture that's really, really positive, right? So I'm just curious, and not everybody has to answer on the panel, but I want to give you some time to just ponder, like, how do you see yourself? Transformational or servant-based?
I would say like transformational. I mean, like in middle school, I wasn't the best kid. I wasn't the greatest learner. Like when I did something and I didn't get it, I just wouldn't do it. Like it was kind of hard for me to pay attention because I wasn't like in the mix of like with like doing bad stuff, but like I was just kind of like, sometimes I was like disrespectful to teachers and stuff like that in like 6th, 7th grade. And then I kind of really looked myself in the eye. I was like, what am I doing? Like I know I have like a future that I've been wanting to chase my entire life, and I think it was around that 8th grade year where I kind of just like flipped the switch and I was like, it's just not me. Like it's not what I was like raised to do. Like me and my dad had conversations a lot. It's like it wasn't what I was like born to do, like raised to do. Like, and then coming towards high school, like I was getting a little bit of college attention, like talking to colleges, and I was like, yeah, I really can't be messing up. Like, got to make sure I'm on top of everything, because, I mean, if I have a dream to chase, then I have to be on top of everything, which is like my attitude, the way I represent myself, the way I'm in school, like schoolwork and stuff like that. So I would say definitely more on the transformational side, and yeah.
That's a great definition of transformational leadership, man. Thank you for sharing. That's outstanding. I'm glad you felt forward in that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Anybody else want to share?
I think I'm more of a transformational leader. I think it was probably around 8th grade I noticed how much my brother and his friends looked up to me, the girls who would like knock on the door to ask to hang out with me. And they're probably like 2-3 years younger than me, and even my like little siblings too. And I didn't realize how much influence you truly have over just younger kids in general. And I noticed that taking the time to like, hang out with 12-year-olds, like it doesn't sound normal as a 16-year-old, but taking the time to like tell them like, you can make a difference and you can be different, and the crowd is going to tell you a lot and they're going to say, do this and try that. But showing them how I act and how I respond and what I'm going out to do, and just putting myself in their lives as a leader, they really get to see, there's another option and that I can do that because, hard work does a lot of things, and I like to teach everyone that. And, just positivity and really being that person if they don't have a person to lean on, and be an ear, like how Officer Hamilton is. I look up to that a lot to so they know they have someone at the end of the day.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you want to chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've also fallen under transformational just because like I'm a big look up to people kind of guy. Like, I've done it my whole life. Like I looked up to my older cousins. I looked up. Like I feel like I flipped the switch really in 8th grade too. Like after COVID hit, just like because I came in from new district, 6th grade was like fine, and then I think it hit like the beginning of 7th or something, or I forget when, like, or the end of 7th grade or end of 6th grade, I forget. But then right after it was like I got to do something different. Like I'm like just like squeezing with the crowd too much and like just doing what everybody else wants to do. Like I just got to be my own person no matter what people think of me. And like, and then when I came up to high school, like being a freshman on the football team, like looking up to all the seniors there, and like they really led by example and just showed what real leadership is. Just like you just want to strive to be that. Like there's a guy he goes to Rutgers, John Stone. I don't know if you heard
I've
him.
heard
Like,
of him. Yeah.
He's like a mean dude on the football field, but off the football field, he's the nicest guy I've ever met. And like he's a great leader, great in the classroom. That's all our coaches talk about and stuff. And like having people like Osborn Hamilton around, like nothing like it. Like I feel like some people just get like not scared, but like they're like, oh, there's a cop in the school. Like, oh, I gotta behave when I walk by. But like he's not just a cop. He's like here for safety. He's here to talk to. He's here to talk about. We'll talk about grades. We'll talk about family struggles. We'll talk about how the Eagles are going to beat the 49ers in the conference championship.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
but okay.
That's going to happen, but
But I'm glad you're having that conversation.
We got talks about anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's
You
awesome.
get serious, and you can be truthful. He'll tell you if you're messing up or if you need to work on something. Then just be small stuff, like be whatever.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
I was gonna work off of Paul a little bit. Like a lot of sometimes I probably talk to him like every single day. Like at least like once a day. At least it's just like a handshake. It's like a hey or hello, or maybe it's like a long conversation. Because sometimes people go through things, and like sometimes you just need to like talk to somebody. I feel like he's like the most like reliable person I know. Like I'll always talk to him like if I have a problem. Like he's like very trustworthy. Like I'll tell him pretty much everything or anything that's going on in my life, and he's just like a guy who I can listen to like all the time. And
He's
he just
got a
helps me
really
along.
good
Yeah.
skill set for that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he really does.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
I also feel like it helps a lot when like in middle school I had Dr. Messiah, I had Officer Hamilton, elementary school I had Mr. Anderson, and then once you see him like come up to where you are now, it's just like it's a good feeling. Like it's so, and even like football coach, like when I came out to high school, not like my 8th grade coaches were still 8th grade, but then like they'll bring some up, and it's like I don't know, it just makes you feel like you talk to them more comfortable, and like I don't know, it's a sense like you're not having to meet someone new, like you know them already, and you just go to them when you have any problems.
You two were in a good spot. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic, but you two were in a good spot because you had your leaders almost follow you to the high school, you know, so that and so and then you went through a tough time, COVID, and then
Yeah.
there was new principals every year.
Yeah.
Did you go to Orchard?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so there were new principals every year, so that's tough, it's
Yeah.
really great to see where you guys have come from, so, and where you have arrived. All right, so here, I talked to you about this a little bit off camera, so just, I'm going to give you some time to think about it, because it might not be readily accessible to you guys. So, I recently listened to a podcast myself about leadership, and the person they're talking is a business guy, so it's about business leadership, not necessarily education. But it was, they talked about the principles of ethical leadership, and that is 6 of them: accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. So I'll read this again: accountability, courage, character and integrity, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. Okay? So I just want to pause a little bit to give you an opportunity to think about which of those 6 that, you are all ethical leaders, all of you, all 4 of you. Which of those 6 mostly define you?
We go, or
Yeah, it's up to you, Paul. Go ahead.
I feel like I have like little specks of all of them, but like if I had to choose one, I feel like accountability is a big thing. It's like you got to give people what you want to in return. So like I feel like if I hold my friends, my family, my peers, my teachers all accountable, then they should be able to hold me accountable. Like I want to be there for you if you need something, you talk to me. But then like if I need to talk to you about something, you got to be there for me, and that's why I was around. Like that's why he's a leader. If I need something, I go talk to him. I feel like if you need something too, you always talk to me. So when you hold people accountable, just like you get a good feeling, and when people hold you accountable, it's like you want to be there for them.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I would probably say accountability too. Like I feel like I talk to like a lot of people during the day who have problems. Like before, like I used to have people come to me and be like, "You look like this scary guy." Like I never knew about like talking to you because like I feel like you'd be like mean. And I'm like, no, like you can always talk to me. Like I always talk to you about your problems. Like everybody goes through stuff. I'm going through stuff. You're probably going through stuff, and like I'm always here to talk. Like I learn a lot from him just talking through conversations with him. Like learning how to talk to other people. And it really helps, and especially on the football team, taking accountability, like being a leader, giving more like what people would give you, like type of thing. Yeah.
Outstanding.
I would have to say accountability too, because my dad, Officer Hamilton, and my dad, and my dad, they've all like talked or whatever, but I feel like since the timing, like where I met you, I feel like I had someone at school and home that if I messed up, they would be on me. So like I knew when my grades dropped at home, I'd hear Dad. At school, Officer Hamilton would probably say something, but never really had to deal with that. But I feel like accountability is so important because just saying like I did this, I messed up, and knowing that if I did this would mess up is so important, because as a leader, whether just being a kid in the hallway who smiles at everyone, or a kid in the classroom who does their work on time, that accountability reflects on other students. I think all of us are athletes, so especially as an athlete, there is no other option to do what's right no matter what, but we really get to show students that the stereotypical athlete doesn't always get D's and F's because we're only good at sports. We get to show other students that we do sports, we do clubs, and our grades are up to standards. So I think having that accountability of, no matter where I'm at, whether it's just hanging out with friends or at school, that I'm always up to par and I'm doing what I can do to the best of my ability. So
Thank you all for sharing. That's very insightful individuals. Incredible. Did you want to add anything? I know we're kind of getting towards the end of time here, but I didn't know if you wanted to.
I hope that I'm able to exude those things that are listed there. I think character is probably one of the big things. I do my best to try and show my true self. I don't lie to anybody. I share stories about myself while growing up. I think that's what makes me kind of relatable at times to
Yeah.
kids. And say, hey, listen, you know, I went through same sort of things. And then, you know, it gives them a little glimmer of hope. You know, say, hey, listen, you're not alone. You're not on an island. You can make it. You just got to persevere through whatever it is. You know, there's always somebody to talk to. I think that was kind of the angle that I really wanted to take with this role. If there was any one thing, to make sure that the students always had somebody to talk to try and help them out through whatever they were going through. Back when I was going to school, I won't tell how old I am, but we didn't have that. Even though we had counselors, we didn't have somebody that was kind of free of the school and that could just interact with us and really sit down and talk to us and help kind of guide us in the right direction with things. So I hope that what I bring to the table is a big help to everyone.
100%.
Thank you. Well, anybody want to add anything? You're not pressured to do so, but you guys did a very good job of showcasing all of your talents for sure and all your leadership. It's no question in my mind like why Officer John wanted you guys here. No question after learning all about you today. No?
Oh.
You can bring it home, MaeAna. Go
Okay.
ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say thank you to both of you guys. You guys have been really great leaders in my life. I think it's a big difference when you see a teacher who wants to see you, or like like Officer Hamilton, principal, whoever, who actually wants to see you go somewhere compared to someone who wants to get you out of here. So I feel like it's really important that we, I wanted to say thank you, because some students don't have that pressure on them, and they won't get to experience exactly what I get to experience with having parents and people at school on me all the time. So just thank you for that, and thank you for always pushing us to the next level. So yeah.
I agree.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say thank you. I just have a little message. I just wanted to say
For sure.
I feel like I try and tell people do what you want to do. I know a lot of people that just follow the crowd because they feel pressured to follow the crowd. But I'm sometimes it's better to just do your own thing. Everybody wants to do their own thing, but some people are scared to do it. Everybody should just pursue what they want to do. You can have friends, you can have all these people, but when you realize that some of your friends might not be doing the best things, sometimes it's better to just do your own thing.
It's a great point. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
I think I don't have much to say. They wrapped it up pretty well.
That's fine, man.
Thank you guys for the opportunity.
You're welcome.
Couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah.
You guys earned the right to be here, so keep doing what you're doing.
All right. Thank you all.